Now, it
So
wouldn't be
how's
you.
everybody doing? Everybody's doing good?
Brandon's heading to coach some football. He's right in the huddle, man. He's from the huddle to the huddle.
Yep. Brandon, how you doing with the new NOR law? Any kickback on that?
I think our folks here started this week. There's actually a big meeting that I don't know, all the brokers got together here locally to put on a big show about it. They're calling it a town home or what is it? It's town hall. And so all the brokers are going to get interviewed on stage, I guess. And so I'll go to that and see what
Oh
happens.
yeah, definitely,
And
definitely.
so, Brandon, what's their purpose of this town hall? Setzer Burnett?
Yeah, that's the conversation. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how they approach things. The one broker who I've been in good contact with about this, because he sees it kind of how I guess I would say that I see it, which is there is going to be some impact on buyer agents and whatnot. And so he's the one that kind of fronted the whole thing. And I'm curious to see how colluded they want to remain as they all kind of talk about it. So, I mean, the way that they have been talking about it still is, oh, they're just gonna find a different way. They're gonna put the commission on a website and publish it there, or text this number. We'll text you back the commission, the buyer agent commission. So I'm
Well, that
curious.
would assume that the seller was dumb enough to say we'll pay the buyer's commission.
Right.
And then what happens is if they say there's no buyer commission and they can prove that they did that, they have violated the federal law.
Right.
I mean, they playing a big old game with some serious matches.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
hope nobody records it, because if they record it, that is really, man, there is a subversion of the jurisdiction of the courts. See, this is why it was done in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because if the buyer said we're going to pay 3% commission, then the sellers or anything less than 3% to this on the buyer's side, they didn't show it. That's what this whole thing's about.
Exactly.
Collusion not to show people's property that were listed less than a commission that they demanded. So that would be in total violation of the federal law.
I think that there are people asking for a recording of it, so I think they are going to find a way to record it. So.
Wow.
Call the 411. Give me some more info on that. We'll be calling the Feddies. And in all fairness, if you ran a real estate agency, I mean, wouldn't you try to be put lipstick on this pig?
Oh yeah, you
I
can.
would. I would, because if your whole buyer's force gets up and just throws their hands up and said, we're finished here, and then what are you going to do? Because it's uncertain about the evolving role of the listing agent. How are they going to do dual agency? Are they going to set up buyer's agents within their office? But here's the thing. Let's say a buyer says, a seller says, I'm going to pay a full 3% commission, but I'm not going to pay anything for the buyer. So the agent says, woo, because if you don't list, you don't last. I've only been set up for listings and not buyer's agents. So or maybe they have some buyer's agents already. Okay. But now they're working for 3% or less, and they're having to do more things, a lot more things, because let's say you got the listing. If one of your buyer's agents sold it, you got the 3% on the listing side and you got the 3% on the buyer's side because one of your buyer's agents sold it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you didn't sell it, so there's no dual agency. Really, there is a dual agency. But the fact of the matter is, that's how you buy it. So now you got 6% up for operating expenses. But today, if there's no commission for the buyer's agent, the 3% has to be divided amongst your expense base for your team. So to me, it looks like revenue has gone down and expenses have gone up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only people that don't understand this is the federal government. Okay, so that's where they haven't felt a pinch yet, because it starts on the 17th. What's the date today? I don't have my calendar out. Oh, I do have my
15.
calendar out. Today's the
15.
15th.
Yeah.
Brrr, 2 days, baby.
Yeah.
It's already started in our area.
Most areas too,
And
Keith.
yeah, I mean, I hear agents, oh, it doesn't it's no effect. You know, the buyers are signing the papers. I don't know if they're blowing smoke or not, but you know, to me, I put that that clip on your website today that most buyers are going to start going straight to the listing agent and open houses. So I
Mhm.
expect to see open houses increase now. You know,
I
a
have
lot
to
more
agree with you.
listing agents are going to be, you know, hosting the open houses, and they're going to be doing, you know, presentations of other homes they have for sale, and just educating the public that's coming in to look at the house.
And you know what, Keith? That's the way it was always done, wasn't it? The
Right,
listing agent always
right,
had the open house. The listing
right.
agent always did these things to get the house sold, but they got fat and happy. Okay, maybe
That
they didn't
that's
get all
it.
of them didn't get fat, but they got seriously happy. So the fact of the matter is, when that happens, then what happens is that the good times are over. You know, Heraclitus, the ancient Greek philosopher, said the only thing certain is change. So, so that's that. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens. But I think the full effect will take a bit to roll out, because I think the biggest thing is consumers, home sellers are going to say, "Oh, I don't have to pay the buyer's commission. I can negotiate." See, part of the settlement structure was that the listing agents have to disclose to the home seller that they do not have to pay the buyer's commission, and all of the commissions they're being charged by the listing agent are negotiable.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the first step. So when consumer awareness comes out,
Yeah.
what are you going to say? Okay, and the buyer's agents say, "Oh, we're using a buyer's agent's agreement." That's great. But does the buyer's agent agreement before today say, "Oh, by the way, if I'm going to show you 16 houses and 12 have no buyer's agent commission built in, you owe me an X%." When that gets
Right.
disclosed, home
Mhm.
buyers, they don't even have money to pay the damn home inspection.
That's
But I'm going to pay you $3,000 in commission to open that freaking door for me. So I think, Keith, you're right. I think the
That's
listing
not going
agents
to
in the
happen.
short term, that's not going to happen. And
That's
in the
not going to
short
happen.
term, listing agents are going to take on a lot more responsibility for
Yep.
less money.
Yeah, I was chatting with a very one of the more successful team leaders here. He does a lot of the listings, and he's got a bunch of buyers agents. Very
Mhm.
respectable guy around in our area. He was saying that even already within the last 2 months or so, he's already been happy. It's taken him takes about a 30-minute conversation about his commission and the buyer's agent commission, because just sellers just have so many questions around that, and they have that same perception about them. We're not paying a buyer's agent commission. And so he's got to kind of work around that and dance around that a little bit too. So I agree with you, Ken. I think it's going to take, several months for people to kind of get used to the new model and find new models, because the new model's out the window now, or the old model's out the window.
So I think
But you know,
I
but you know,
think two
guys,
things.
it could
Go ahead.
flip also. It could flip that the 1% brokerages could play a more active role in this than the seller would put 3% commission to the buyer and just cut out the listing agent. They're going to sell the house themselves. They're going to hire a marketer or a photographer to put it on MLS and do all that, and just cut out the listing agent altogether and just manage their own sale. You know what I'm talking about, Ken?
We
Just
did it
manage your own
twice.
sale and do the 3% to the buyer's agent.
So here's the thing. When we did, it was for sell by owner who we used in Tampa, Florida, and they handle all of Southwest Florida. But what happened was when we were doing a business with them, we had to pay the buyer's agents 2%. However, that's over. That's out of their contract. And we have now signed ourselves up to be a part of the class action lawsuit to get a settlement on two times. There's really three, but two that I think we're going to be eligible for to get back some of those commission dollars that we paid that we were forced to pay. So for sell by owners, right here in Southwest Florida, in Tampa, Florida, Flat Fee Realty will do a comprehensive platinum listing for $534. That includes, Keith, everything you said: lockbox, drone, sign, and they have really great software. Somebody wants to see it, the agent dials on that number, It asks for they set the time, it calls the seller and says, is that appropriate? If not, the seller online can actually say, here's an alternative time that's better. So all of that, $534, and now there's no contract in there to pay the buyer's agent anything. Okay, so as long as that home's on the MLS and the other networks across the country, I think you're right. I think the flat fee realty, I've already said, Brandon, you need to own one in your area right now because it's the biggest market opportunity there is.
Oh, I
We'll
agree.
see. We'll see. We'll see. But the minute they start trying to subvert the federal law, that will come right out. But I think, Brandon, you're also right. It's going to take a minute for home buyers to understand it. But I think what happens is where Keith has really got a very valid point. The fact of the matter is, if I had a flat fee realty, I would be telling every home buyer in the world. I would get a list of people that have bought homes in the last few months, and I would have them tell their friends, blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, if you know somebody that wants to list or sell a home, here's what we charge. Okay, because people know people. I mean, I'd run a direct mail campaign, I'd run an email campaign, I'd have every news article on the web. I mean, I'd have press releases, videos, you name it. So who knows? But Brandon, you're kind of in an isolated area, a really beautiful area, but kind of isolated from the real big world. And I think
Yeah.
what you're seeing in the bigger markets, it's already there.
Yeah.
And God bless you for
But
being in that
Brandon, it
market. That's
is
a beautiful
funny
place.
on that post you did, all the other inspectors that did not know what was going on.
Of
Yeah.
course they
Did you
don't.
notice that? It's like that's not happening here. It's not happening here, dude. That's nationwide, and they had no clue what was going on.
So here's the beautiful thing, Keith. Their source of leads are going to drop and you're going to gobble them. Boop, 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 boop. You know what I'm saying? Like we did in 2007, 2008. The people that were uninformed or didn't invest in marketing skills said bye-bye. Our clients snatched up there because you know what? There were still home inspections. There were still some realtors. And guess what? We sent letters to everybody in the community that said, hey, you know, it's terrible. You're suffering. We're suffering the whole thing. But the fact of the matter is we're in business and you are too. And the home inspector you use may not be. So if he or she isn't in business, we are, and we'd love to help you. And oh, by the way, we don't kill deals. Here's how we deal. And you know what? They got new agents like crazy. And next thing you know, they didn't care if it was a recession. William Troutman, Coach William, loved him like a brother, started off his home inspection company during 2007, 2008 recession. I mean, you know, either that is not thinking or brass, you know what, one or the other. I don't know. But William just was stroked right on in and picked up all that market share of home inspectors that were going out of business. So, and he was newer, but he had a great rap, He'd been in the industry a long time and knew a lot of things, and he's certainly friendly. So that was that. So I say, let's do this. I say, let's jump on here and just talk about cross promotions for a few minutes. How about that?
Yeah.
But instead of having any kind of teaching or asking questions at the end, what I wanted to do, I just put up 7 questions that you should ask yourself. Now I have articles written and Dill and our publishing team, we have 7 new websites coming up across the internet, all about the home inspection industry, different aspects of it. And from here forward, I'll be able to link articles after our call in here, and you'll be able to go and check them out with really tons of great detail. Action steps, what to do next, all that. That's all in there. We've been riding fools for the last few months trying to get everything ready. So 2 of them are coming up right away, and then each one hopefully will come up one a month for the next couple months.